If you want to increase the amount of evergreen high traffic content on a website, then pay close attention. If you're a copywriter or marketer, or you're a business owner that has a blog or some kind of information resource to attract customers online, you've got to be careful with a lot of these SEO advice that's given out there. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's copywriting tips. So before you hire a copywriter to write more content, before you get into a project with a client, we want to make sure that we have evergreen high traffic content that converts. Now, I know there's a lot of desire to be recognized by search engines and have number one ranking and other things, but really what matters to the revenue of your business is that people, when they visit your website, take an action to become a lead or to make a sale. And the sales transaction isn't just to get the money, but it's to start building a relationship with that prospect so that they come back, they pay, stay, and refer. So we need content on our website and in other areas of our business, because this rings true for both the web and for optimizing other types of campaigns. But the content we create and put in front of our buyers or our prospects has to help them move towards a solution. So I see a lot of talk right now about the Google's high HCU update, the high quality content update. And they're talking about useful content, and then they're talking about going back into a content site and deleting everything that is not considered useful. Now, my argument is, when you go back and perhaps you take out pages that have no traffic, you take out pages that have no backlinks, you take out pages that are under a certain amount of words, you're not actually doing anything useful, because you're removing from your site what may be contextually included in the overall ranking of your site. Also, if content has low value, it may have some value to your target customer. So low value to Google, but some value to your target customers. And so what I'm going to share with you in today's podcast is a few ideas and concepts that you can use to optimize the value of your site, to move more content towards evergreen content. Now, what is evergreen content? I'll tell you that here shortly, but to also increase your overall conversion rate. Let's start with evergreen content. I would much rather have 100 articles on a website that each get 100 visitors a month than to have one article that gets 100,000 visitors today. I want content that gets consistent and regular visitors, because every piece of content on a site that I manage, and I manage a handful of sites, 10 different sites. I manage client sites, I manage other sites. We optimize for conversion. If we have consistent traffic every month, then we should have consistent leads every month. We should have consistent sales every month. If we're just going for the highest ranking and we want a post to go viral, whether it's on social media, whether it's on your website, whether it's in a direct mail campaign, then that's like a one-hit wonder. It's not going to build a business. It might make you feel good. And as a copywriter, sometimes you want that hit so that the customer will be happy. But if you can't reproduce it to turn it into something that works month after month, year after year, then you're going to have to uh, go evergreen, because that one hit is just you're losing money. There's so many ways you're losing money. Now, what's important is that all the content on your website at some time had some reason to be posted. And so we put all that content into a content library or a content vault. And then we go back and we ask the question, is this content useful? See, Google was okay with that content 5 years ago, 2 years ago, and now it's not. What if the content that's there now is actually important in the future? So what we're going to do is we're going to take all that content, we're going to put it into a content vault, and then we're going to rank it according to our end user, into our client. So if the visitor landed on this page, would they know it's for them? So we get out our customer avatars and our buyer personas and we say, okay, who is this for? What problems does it solve? What questions are we answering? Is it well connected with other content in the website? We're literally determining what is our measurement criteria before we do anything else. Just because a page has under 850 words It doesn't mean anything. That page could be a great landing page with an opt-in on the bottom, and you're getting a 20% conversion rate for anybody who lands on that page. And the problem isn't the page. The problem is that you aren't sending any front-end traffic to it. And this is very important. Search engine optimization isn't the only way to get traffic to your website. You can promote it on social media. You can do pay-per-click advertisements. You can send a postcard campaign. You can have an event and send people to it. You can create other content that basically hubs in these pieces of content. There are so many things you can do. And so if you delete the content, you are essentially erasing the standing value of that content. And again, if you've measured it and it doesn't have any value, then you're better to rewrite it, because, like a credit score, the longevity in the marketplace applies towards your authority. And that's just not on search engines itself. If you wrote a piece of content in 2013 and it's 2023 right now, and that content is still relevant to a visitor, and the visitor may say, "Well, geez, these people have been around a long time. Where have you been? I haven't been able to find you before." So very low traffic pages, very high bounce pages, they tell you something different than just Google doesn't like it. Again, it could be that it wasn't targeted to the customer. Maybe the writing style is not clear to the visitor. Maybe there is not very many illustrative images where there should be illustrative images. So we want to develop a criteria for performance. And once you've determined the performance criteria, you're going to go in and start cultivating the list. So we use a topic testing method. You don't have to go into that much detail, but we do a scientific approach because, again, we are transaction and conversion based. And so we want that customer to be a returning customer. And so we don't really care so much about bounce rate. We care more about what's the percentage of returning customers. So in a customer service part of the website, we don't want the customers to return all the time. That means there's a product problem. But in the information or the discovery area of the website, those transactional keywords um, are going to be very short bounce rates because people are going to do the transaction and move on. But those informational keywords, those decision making areas, they're going to spend more time. The point is, we document our best practices, we score the content, and then we go in and try to apply as many of those best practices to the poor performing content as possible. So if we've got a funnel, a catalog website, we're going to optimize that differently than a content website. So the catalog website, we do want a high return rate. We want people to keep coming back to the website, but we want them to put stuff in the cart so they can land on a product page and spend 2 seconds and then put something in the cart. That is wonderful. We don't want people spending 20 minutes on a landing page or on a product page because there's something wrong. They aren't getting the answers they need. Now, if there's a big list of reviews, maybe they're reading the reviews, and we want to be able to measure that, and that's going to be a distance scroll down page. But if we're optimizing for conversion and somebody never visits a product, we have to ask the question: are we even promoting the product? Is it selling in other channels? Is how we're presenting the product wrong? And so deleting the product out of your catalog, especially when a lot of these catalogs have digital products or they have products that are seasonal, we don't want to have a poor measure cause us to take away something that works okay. Sometimes just getting the initial sale has way more value than getting a specific sale. So if the customer buys something or prospect buys something, they're now a customer, and then our follow-up can increase the value of that customer. So again, we're going to apply the best practices to the worst content in place so that we're not taking away that signal for age, and we're expanding the article. We're being more focused on the audience interests, but we're also looking at other signals that are related to the purpose of the website itself. Now, again, these improvements demonstrate to the search engines, they demonstrate to your visitors, they demonstrate to the ecosystem that you're in, whether it's social or paid advertising, that you're actually maintaining your website. See, part of quality is that you actually maintain your website. So we don't want to erase the time in the marketplace, but we do want to show that we're growing in the marketplace. So let's talk about a content website. You've got a bunch of articles that you've rated poor quality. And by the way, we need to rate high quality so that we don't touch it. The stuff that works, we don't want to touch it. So we go into stuff that's not working and we look at it. Is it evergreen? Like, is it still relevant today? Does it meet the target audience's interests or intent? Is it focused on a specific keyword or just kind of rambling all over the place? What about the content can be connected to other content in the website? And then, of course, how do we promote it? Now, we can come up with, depending on the analysis, 100 different ways that content can be improved. But improving that content is so much better than deleting that content because at least you have a basis to start with. You can start testing. So one of the things we might do is we might take a poor piece of content, rewrite it, and then write a whole new piece of content that maybe fits better in the topics that work, but connects to the other topic that's maybe supportive. And now we've got a new content hub, and the organization of the poor ranking content is better, and that brings in more traffic or that brings in more conversions. We find that sometimes there's an opt-in page that doesn't work. So the page is getting traffic, but we're not getting conversion. Turns out the opt-in page has been broken. So it's a bit more complex than just deleting pages. It's a bit more complex than getting backlinks. If you want to optimize for conversion, it is an analysis role. And so we want to be looking at time and market. We want to be looking at composition of and quality of visitors. We want to be looking at our promotion cycles. We want to be building out the interrelationships between content and concepts. So the topical mapping within the website itself. We want to be building out topical mapping outside of the website. And so just writing more copy, it doesn't solve the problem. Deleting poor performing copy doesn't solve the problem. And then the last part is just randomly updating stuff doesn't solve the problem. It is very possible that during an optimization exercise that you would undo valuable things if you again don't do the scoring, and you don't do the ranking, and you don't do the very strategic approach of updating. Now, the last point, there are times where you may delete content. So let's say you've been doing A/B splits between sales letters, and you do have a poor performing sales letter, and you want to remove it from the website so that it doesn't distract from the better performing sales letter. So you're going to remove, maybe you're doing a sales letter test. Each code is individually coded. You want to remove the one that is not performing and replace it with a new test to try to beat the control. Now, we like to use page optimization tools so that we can just take that test out of a series, and that saves us a little bit of time on the front end. But again, if the content is a lead page or an opt-in form or a sales letter that is absolutely not performing, and you've coded the URL so that you can know whether it's performing or not, you can just delete that page and redirect it. If you have content that is factually incorrect or otherwise maybe it's disparaging to somebody, maybe it's been a page that's been hacked and got spammed on, that page can be completely deleted and it can be redirected to a more legitimate page, because the changes in that page may not overcome the fact that you've done something that's very wrong on that site. And that tells you need better quality control when it comes to producing content. And that's one of the things we help our clients with is helping the staff understand that we don't want to try the next new thing we saw on Reddit. We want to go out there and use best practices, test it in the marketplace, look at conversion, and then optimize based on conversion, not the next Google search algorithm, the next Google update. The last place you're going to delete content is when that content has been, it just doesn't make any sense for that particular website. So it might fit the audience, but it just doesn't. It's like on a catalog site. You got a catalog site and you got a bunch of blog posts that are getting more attention than the products itself. And so you can go in and delete that content. But again, I don't want to delete any content. I'd rather look at the page objectively, fix the problem, put in the disclosures if you have to, and then only be removing content when it comes to like hard marketing campaigns. And then more importantly there, we use a lot of tools, for example, that are going to do dynamic splits on the page so that we can test headlines and do multivariate testing. It just all depends on your traffic. If you don't have a lot of traffic, sometimes you might have two pages with different coding in the URL, and then you really do want to delete the page that's not converting. So I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. I hope this has been a quick analysis, and it just keeps you from deleting pages off the website, because deleting the low perform, if the page is not getting any traffic already, then deleting it doesn't do anything. The search engines are not going to waste their time spidering pages that aren't getting any traffic. So rewrite the page, allow your sitemaps to update, implement your best practices, know what your best practices are, better target your audience so the search engine knows who to send to you, and stop doing these things that are simply a waste of time, that have no real science to it. Again, conversion rate optimization is a statistical implementation of actual measures and a lot of social science to know what's going to modify the visitor's behavior. If you'd like to deep dive on that on your content site or your catalog site, and you spend at least $10,000 a month on advertising or your general budget for content creation, give us a call. Visit www.adbriefings.co.uk. Let's do a discovery call. Let's look at the practices you use for optimizing content, and let's see if we can't double, triple, or even quadruple the amount of cash flow you produce from your website. That may not be an increased conversion rate. That may be something else. But again, what are we doing really with these websites? What are we really doing in a business? We're not serving Google. We're not freelancers for Google that don't get paid. We're about serving customers. We're about solving problems. And we're about, again, the conversion as a signal for visitor satisfaction. Thanks for listening. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions at www.adbriefings.co.uk.